Hello. Today we are going to be replacing the vapor canister, also known as the charcoal canister, in a third generation Corvette. This particular one is a 1977 model. As you can see, I already have the brake fluid reservoir moved over to the side and bungee corded. This is a technique that I saw in a video which I linked in the description. I'm also, during this process, replacing the windshield washer spray pump, which is why the windshield washer fluid reservoir is not here. That is also going to be included in the description for those who, need some help removing that reservoir, because it is a bit tricky. But anyway, the vapor canister is down here. It's that cylindrical object, and I'm going to be replacing it with this new canister right here. Now, I have read some forums where people say you can replace the charcoal powder in these canisters with stuff that you find at an aquarium, but I'm pretty sure there's other components in there which can fail. And this canister is over 45 years old already, so it's probably best if I just replace the whole thing. If you own a classic car and your garage always smells like gasoline, this could be the culprit. So for those of you wondering what the vapor canister or charcoal canister is used for, these are usually found in older vehicles, and they're connected to an outlet on the fuel tank and the carburetor. Basically, as gasoline slowly evaporates, or as you're filling up the gas tank, there's a bunch of gas that is displaced in the tank, and that needs to go somewhere. And that venting passes through this canister, and the canister has charcoal media inside of it to trap fuel vapors and prevent them from being released into the atmosphere. So first, you want to take a 3/8 wrench or socket. I'm using a wrench this time just because my wrench is a little bit longer than the socket and I can get a better reach. And you want to undo that screw right in there. Now, something I did not notice earlier, that there's actually two of those screws down there. Okay, so I actually ended up having to undo those screws completely for the straps. Otherwise I wouldn't have been able to move this at all. So now it's nice and loose, I can just lift it right out. Now that it is mostly out of the way, I can't actually lift it completely up out of the car because it's still connected to these fuel lines. But I'm going to undo this hose clamp and remove the part. Now that the hose clamps are pulled out of the way, these hoses can easily be pulled off. And you don't have to worry about gasoline squirting out of these or anything, because again, this is just for fuel vapor. So when you disconnect these hoses, no need to worry about spillage. It might just smell a little bit stronger. Although if you are replacing one of these canisters, it probably already smells like gasoline in your garage anyway. Here are some of the differences between the OEM vapor canister and the aftermarket canister, which I purchased online. I'll include a link to this in the video description. Basically, right off the bat, you can tell that this is manufactured by Rochester Products, same company that makes the carburetor. It's got the Rochester logo right there. This has the air vent on the bottom. As you can see, it got a little dinged up here too. This aftermarket one, on the other hand, has the air vent on top. There's a little cap you can remove. Both have a connection for the tank right here, but the Rochester version calls this the carb connection, and this one calls it the purge connection, which is a little strange. I'm also noticing that the OEM Rochester canister seems to be of higher quality. The build quality is nicer on this thing, but it is 45 years old. The bottom of the OEM vapor canister opens up like this. You can see there's some kind of filter in here. Moving the filter over to the side reveals another set of filters in here. Now I'm not actually sure how you would go about replacing any of the interior of this thing. Okay, now you just got to reconnect the hoses. The one labeled purge is going to go to the hose leading to the carburetor. And the one labeled tank is, self-explanatory. It's going to the fuel tank. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just push these hoses back on, put the hose clamps back on, and clamp it back in place.